Okay, so I'm going to review my graduation from therapy success story. I'm about a month out of therapy, and I feel way better than I did when I started therapy, despite already feeling pretty good before therapy. I feel way more in control. I feel like I have way more gratitude for what I have. I feel more in control of my destiny. I feel like I'm less kind of flowing with the waves of the ocean, and instead I'm swimming. And it feels great. And I want to kind of explain my process in terms of graduating from therapy and how it happened um, quickly, and then go into my process because I think this would be very helpful for a lot of people. I have a weekly calendar every day. I have a mental and physical health exercise, which I found that is a good practice to have. And very quickly, how this happened, I had one session of therapy, and after the therapy, I got a bunch of homework assignments, if you will. And I love the homework assignments. I found them extremely insightful, very helpful. And therefore, after that first session, I talked to my therapist, and I was a little bit nervous about it. I was like, hey, can we establish like a graduation therapy plan where we create these like tools like that you sent me, and we do it. I do it every day, and then basically, by the time I'm graduating, I like feel like I'm getting most of the benefit from these tools than talking to you. And I was a little bit nervous because I was like, this is kind of like taking away their business. But my therapist was very supportive. I used BetterHelp, so maybe that's why it's like less of a. They have like a lot of patients coming through BetterHelp. It's not like you're seeing like mom and pop therapist in town. Nothing wrong with that, but maybe that's why this therapist was supportive of that. I don't know, but I want to quickly get into the weekly calendar that I've built up that on a daily basis has lifted me up over the past month since graduating therapy. I've had a couple of moments where things felt overwhelming. Things felt hard. Uh, Sometimes it felt even like a hole in your heart. So you feel like this loss of meaning. And then boom, I do one of these exercises and I like feel way better. And sometimes it's physical health exercises. So I'm also going to be showing a bunch of different videos, and these videos will be popping up as a link. But also, I will be sharing this Google Doc in the description of the video, and I'll make it public so anybody can look at it. And maybe I'll make it commentable, and you could comment. So it could be this public document that you could comment on if you have any questions, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, so let's start with Sunday. So Sunday is connection and long walk. Okay. This was inspired by Dr. Paul Conti and rabbinical wisdom. Dr. Paul Conti is this really great psychiatrist who got really popular, I think, from Huberman, from the Huberman podcast. Um, and he has like a four-part series. Each episode is like 4 hours long, so it's like 12 hours of amazing insights. And it inspired me to every day of the week do a connection to the community, almost like a volunteering day per week. It's a nice way to give back to the community, connect with the community, listen, be present, and also go for a long walk at the same time. So I already have like it was coincidental when I created the schedule on ChatGPT. A lot of these schedules were, I fed it into ChatGPT and it created the schedule for me. But coincidentally on Sunday, it made me do this like uh, uh, volunteering connection walk, which I already do every Sunday. I'm part organizer of a weekly like walk. Um, so like a volunteering walk. And if you want to check out Dr. Conti, he's on this Huberman podcast. And
Welcome to the Huberman Lab podcast, where we
So this is one of the videos, but there's like four of them, um, four big ones. So that's that. So that's what I do on Sundays, and it's really nice. Nice way to connect to the community, get a long walk in there. That's healthy. Mondays was changed a few times because my therapist was having me do like dream work, which I tried doing and I tried journaling it and I tried working with it. And honestly, it didn't feel meaningful. It didn't feel helpful. I also tend to forget my dreams almost immediately after waking up. So it's hard to like attach to something. And one of the reasons why I left that in there is so you could see that I it's a working process, and I recognize that this process right here could be completely different from a year from now. However, I know that over the past few months, this has helped me tremendously, and while I could tweak it, this whole process is working. So what I landed on was child development and YouTube exercises. So the first thing is child development. So this Dr.
That's so
Becky Kennedy
exciting to me.
is one of these therapists, clinical psychologists that specialize in child development, but there's so many of them. There's so many people that specialize in child development. There's so many different theories about it. And the cool thing about it is by me studying it once a week, and this is the way the therapist said it to me, and I totally understand it. Uh, by me understanding child development better, it helps me not only understand my daughter and how she's developing and how I could maximize. Uh, she's not like a car. How I could maybe make her development as best as possible for her, but it also helps you understand yourself because you can understand the way your child development went or not development in a lot of cases, especially when people have issues. And it also finally helps me understand other people much better. You can have a lot more empathy for people, um, even like the most extreme kind of people like Hitler. Okay, so for someone to do the things that he did and to get to where he did and to lead so many people to do those things, messed up childhood. A lot of people had mass shooters, had messed up childhoods. Terrorists had really messed up childhoods, child development. So it's like a way to have like empathy, a way to like make yourself better because you could understand your child development. And I'll get into on Friday's shadow work over here, and that can touch on it as well. And then, so in addition to the child development, the physical exercise that I do on Mondays is a YouTube exercise. So this is like one of the things, like these like get abs in 2 weeks kind of things, and it's just a really easy way to work out. And I've done this before. I've done this a few times with my wife, and it was a nice way to connect with my wife and for us to do an exercise together. And you could do this with your roommates. You could do this with your siblings, with your parents, with your grandparents, your children. So it's a YouTube exercise is a surprising way that you can really get some exercise in, and it could be in so many different so many different exercises. Um, on a weekly level, I like it. I would not want to do it on a daily basis because I don't want to be in front of a TV working out on a daily basis. Um, on Tuesdays, that is logotherapy and pickleball day. So logotherapy is basically Viktor Frankl's main thing. That's his main shtick. Viktor Frankl is this a psychiatrist, concentration camp survivor or Holocaust survivor, and he wrote this amazing book, Man's Search for Meaning, and his main shtick again is logotherapy. It's how to find meaning in life, and there's a part of that book, Man's Search for Meaning, which he points out three main ways you could find meaning in life. One, it's to create a work or by doing a deed. Two, it's experiencing something or encountering someone, some kind of experience. And three, turn a personal tragedy into a triumph. That is probably one of my favorite ones. The ability to not only turn a personal tragedy into a triumph, but to find the meaning in that is extremely powerful. It's a really good thing to be able to do. And it's something that comes with practice. And the people that can do it the best generally are going to be the happiest. I initially had this as identify a moment from your day where you felt truly purposeful or meaningful. What were you doing? How can you incorporate more of these meaningful activities in your life? It was kind of too fluffy. It didn't go specific enough. It didn't make me like dive into this turning a personal tragedy into a triumph thing. These three things kind of like are like bouldering or mountain climbing latches that I could grab onto and really get some good insights too. So in terms of Viktor Frankl, this is this guy,
The
Viktor
truth is that as the
Frankl.
struggle for survival has subsided, the question has emerged: survival for what?
So this is a good
Even more
video
people
that
today
talks
have the
about
means to live.
logotherapy and man search for meaning, and just in general, um, you know, in terms of pickleball, I have pickleball. Fortunately, I have a recreation center in my town, which has free pickleball indoors, which means I could do it all year round, rain, snow, doesn't matter. And this is a video with the basic rules for pickleball. The reason I put that there is because anybody can play pickleball. Doesn't matter your athletic capability. It helps if you've played tennis. It helps if you've played racket sports, but you don't have to. It's such an easy game to pick up and such good workout. Such a good workout to the point that you have to be careful with it because it's so easy and it's so fun that you can really hurt yourself very quickly. And even though I was in pretty good shape and played tennis and all that kind of stuff, I still had hip issues when I first started playing pickleball. Just the biggest warning I have with pickleball is just take it easy. It's really easy to get carried away with it. All right, Wednesdays is my emotional awareness and ping pong day. So emotional awareness is another thing from Dr. Paul Conti from the Huberman podcast. Um, he what he says is basically the reason why people don't understand their feelings or their themselves very well often is because they don't dive deep enough and they don't use the right verbiage. Like to say I'm depressed is not enough. But to spend 10 minutes writing about a recent emotional experience, describe the emotion in detail, how it felt in your body, and what thoughts it brought up, reflect on the source of this emotion, any patterns you notice. You set a timer on your phone for 10 minutes and you just type. It is amazing. One night I forgot to do this, and at night I go to bed and I basically set a timer on my phone and I laid there for 10 minutes and I thought about it. And that was actually really nice too. It was a different way of visualizing it, and my it was a little bit more disorganized because instead of like writing, it's like these thoughts coming into my head. But it was still really good, and it's amazing the insights you'll get to. Um, Especially if you approach it from like a place of like agency and gratitude, which is what Dr. Paul Conti says is the meaning, is how to become happy. How to be happy is you have to have agency and gratitude. So if you spend these 10 minutes writing about this emotional experience, which could be very good or very bad, or anywhere in between, you approach it from this place of agency, like you know that you could make a difference in your life by doing this, and gratitude, like I'm grateful for this emotional experience, even though it could be bad. Um, Here's another video with
Welcome to the Huberman
Dr.
Lab
Paul
guest
Conti. So
series,
this is
where I and an
episode
expert
one
guest
of the
discuss science
parts
and science-based
series.
tools for
There's
everyday
four
life.
parts to this.
I'm Andrew Huberman, and I'm a professor of neurobiology and
Yeah.
ophthalmology
So
at
that's
Stanford
that.
School of Medicine. Today's
Bada bing,
episode
bada
marks
boom.
the
Okay.
first in a 4-episode
Alright,
series all
so
about
next, in terms of ping pong, same thing like pickleball, really easy to learn. This is a video with rules of basics, and it is really good exercise actually. If you kind of get into it, and the big thing that I recommend people to do is go forehand to forehand. So you hit with this side, the person on the other side hits with the opposite side, like same side like this, and you go back and forth diagonal. And by doing that, you're both working out that forehand, and then you do the same thing with backhand, and you go boop, 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 boop. So by doing that, first of all, it's a really good workout because you're like boop, boop, boop. Because you're working out the same side, you're also and trying to get that angle. You're getting that practice, and you're learning how to aim the ball. So that's what I do on Wednesdays. Not everybody has a ping pong table, but actually, there is a pretty cool product that you can get, which you can attach to your dining room table. Ping pong net for any table. This thing. So I have this. So you can attach this actually to your kitchen table, and it's really pretty good. So even if you don't have, you just need a dining room table, which a lot of people have. Okay, Thursdays. So Thursdays, this is where, a lot of people, especially including myself when I was younger, are atheist. So they may not be able to connect to this. However, and you don't have to do it. But you could also do it something similar from like a Buddhist Buddhist perspective, which is not really a religion, more of a philosophy. But every Thursdays I do Torah study with my mom actually, and my parents have a stationary bike in front of their TV. So like yesterday was Thursday, so I sat on the bike, exercised, had my tea, and we watched a Torah YouTube video. This one actually.
As soon as we read the opening,
This guy,
lines
Rabbi
of
Sachs.
Truma,
And I've read the Torah, I've read the New Testament, Old Testament, a Christian Bible, Quran, and all that kind of stuff. And like reading the text for me does not relate, but watching these kind of videos really helps because they kind of break it down in the current world, and I really like it. And I actually have my own book club YouTube channel where I've posted some of these videos. I have a book club channel with a few friends of mine, and we do a lot of different videos, not including a lot of videos, including I posted a few about my Torah explorations. And then in terms of a stationary bike, I actually got this stationary bike, which is really good for like working, because you could put your computer on there. And so I got that for my office, and I could put my computer, I could exercise. It doesn't take up a lot of space. I actually took meetings. I took a meeting yesterday from it. So it works really good as like a standing desk, but like a workout desk. Okay, Fridays, that's today. It's shadow work and long run day. So shadow work is this concept pioneered by Carl Jung, very important psychologist, Jungian psychology. He has a lot of thoughts that he brought to the table that were different than your Freudian, everything is because of sex kind of thing. So shadow work is basically you think of a trait in not really others. So in others that you find irritating or difficult to deal with. This is one way to do it. There's many ways to do shadow work. So one way is think of a trait in others that you find irritating or difficult to deal with. Reflect on how this trait might be a reflection of something within yourself that you haven't fully acknowledged or accepted, which means that you potentially have that trait. The way that shadow work I did it first was my therapist introduced it to me and said, all right, picture, and I struggled with this a lot. It took me a lot of times to like think about it, but you close your eyes and you think of the worst part of yourself or a bad part of yourself that is like judgmental of others, or maybe a previous version of yourself, in the past, something that you did that was bad or said something that was bad or blah, blah, blah. And you picture that person as a shadow. That's your shadow. And you talk with it. You basically ask it, you first forgive it. You say, I forgive you for what you did. you ask it, why did you come about, and then like what caused this to happen, like why did you do this, and then finally the important thing for me that's been meaningful is asking the shadow, hey, how can I prevent you from doing this in the future? Because I don't like what you did. Uh, with all due respect, I understand why you did it now, but how can I prevent it? And the shadow can talk back to you. So you're basically talking to yourself. And that first experience, I felt very, very tiny. And I felt like I was eclipsed by the shadow. However, after that conversation, I felt on the same level with the shadow. The shadow got smaller and I got bigger or whatever. And I think that was like a metaphor almost for me acknowledging the bad parts of me, giving it the respect it needs, and addressing essentially the elephant in the room. Pun intended. There are so many videos on shadow work. This guy was pretty good, Clark Kegley. He did a good job of explaining it, but there's so many. Like, look, like so many videos on shadow work, a lot. So and then this is also the day to do a long run. So after I record this video, I'm gonna go for a 2 maybe 3 hour run. And the shoes that I have are these guys. They're Solomon Speed Cross, but as you can see, $140. I kind of like, I'm like, what? Why did I do that? And then I found these guys that was suggested on Amazon right next door to them, $30, and they look so similar. Oh my god. So the reason why I like these kind of shoes in general, though, is you see those spikes. So for a long run, especially in the woods, which I really like to do, you get some really good grip. Most shoes at the bottom, not so much good grip. So those are my Fridays. And last but not least are Saturdays. That is my gratitude and family play day. So gratitude is another kind of Viktor Frankl special. So I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for, focusing on the small everyday blessings, and reflect on how these aspects of your life give you strength and resilience. Couple of times I was with my wife when I did this exercise driving on a road trip, like a weekend road trip with our daughter napping in the back, and we talked together. I was like, hey, what 3 things are you grateful for? And I actually just realized I adjusted this to be 3 things. One is personal, one is professional, and one is almost like global, I think. Yeah. So I adjusted this a little bit because it was kind of hard to think of those 3 things easily. So I made one I'm thankful personally, professionally, and globally. So this is
and Lassette,
Victor
unless
Frankl.
I would have prepared myself, because if you are a psychiatrist, your patients feel exactly whether or not you are really convinced of what you are teaching and telling them. Now, I'm convinced that in contrast to the usual aspect, the sound aspect to life, and more specifically to the past, to life's transitoriness, and this includes that we approach, each of us are approaching death. In contrast to that, I maintain that in the past, nothing is lost, but right on the contrary, everything is stored forever. It is not annihilated by transitoriness, but on the contrary, it else and Lassette.
Yeah, so I love everything that he says. It's like really good. Plus, he's a cool guy. Look at him with his glasses, white hair, and his accent is so cool. So what he's saying there is like everything is transitory. So everything in life is just a transition. It's like you're like constantly in flow, and it's just this transitionary thing. However, everything in the past has its place, has its meaning, and I would go further to say um, uh, it has you should be grateful for all those things, good and bad. There's good things that happened in your past, like all the privileges that you've had, what your parents have done to set you up, the friends that you've had that have built you up, professional things that have happened that have built you up. But there's also bad things that happened, and you should be grateful for those things as well, because those are learning moments. Um, those are learning moments of maybe things that you shouldn't have done professionally or personally. Those are learning moments of people that you should not surround yourself with, whether at work or at home. And he's practicing what you preach. So it's you know it's that's him practicing his that's what he does. And Man's Search for Meaning, uh you know it's a great book, uh one of my top favorites. I just reread it again, and it is so freaking good. It's so much more than just a Holocaust survivor story. It's like almost like a recipe for life. So that's that. And then in terms of family play, this is something that I do with my wife and I do with our daughter. And it's called toddlerography. So we basically just copy what she does when she dances. And Jennifer Lopez did this
Think you're a great dancer?
on
But this
James
class is gonna
Corden's
make
show.
you rethink everything you thought you knew about dance.
Think I will be fine, James.
No, the instructors are nightmares.
Well, they're late.
Yeah, well, they kind of work to their own schedule, okay?
Who are the instructors?
Don't even look him in the eye.
Ya tú sabes, no hay más nada.
So you get the idea. And so on Saturdays, that's my family play day. It's the first day that I'm with my daughter the whole day, and I try to find meaning and gratitude and enjoy playing with my daughter and my wife and family and close friends, and ideally through physicality, like dancing, carrying my toddler on my shoulders and walking around. A Airbnb for an entire weekend, like a couple weekends ago, went. We had so many people at the house that she was a little bit overwhelmed, as a toddler, no doubt would be. So she just spent the entire weekend on my shoulders, and she's like, "Go here, go there, go there." And I could have been like, "This is so annoying. This is so like, get off me." But instead, I was like, "This is awesome. This is what I'm meaning to do today." So overall, this is the schedule that works for me. However, this won't necessarily work for you, especially like the Torah stuff. You may not be a religious person or Jewish, and that's fine. But this kind of daily mental and physical exercise thing has worked wonders for me. I love it, and it's like I'm like working out my anti-depression, anti-anxiety muscle. From this exploration, I've realized that depression and anxiety is something within your control. It's and you have a muscle in your brain that, if worked out properly, can like fight it. Oh, psh, 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 you can fight that depression, anxiety, right? And I truly feel that's what I'm doing on a daily basis. And like I said, I've had those moments. There's a moment with on that Saturday, on that weekend trip Airbnb with family, where it was really difficult because our daughter was not sleeping, not napping, and she was a mess. And I made it a purpose to I had my plan. I'm gonna write 3 things that I'm grateful for. So I was like, I'm really happy that I have this awesome family that I can go away for the weekend and do these trips together and just spend all day together and cook together and eat amazing food and enjoy each other's company. I was like, I'm thankful that I have a good job where I had like a really good feedback from my boss on the previous day, and then I was thankful in general just to not be in a war. Unfortunately, what's happening in Israel and Ukraine and all that kind of stuff. It's a nice remind. It's a nice reminder. It's a reminder of where you could be living. And I was born in Ukraine, and I am Jewish, so the war in Ukraine and Israel is close to home. However, there's a bunch of wars happening all over Africa and Asia, and it's horrible what people can be going through. And I'm not going through that. My daughter's not going through that. My wife's not going through that, and I'm thankful for it. And that doesn't make me selfish or unappreciative. In fact, it's the opposite. I appreciate what I have. The people that don't appreciate not being at war, I think actually are actually almost disrespectful to the people that are in war, because they're not appreciating the difference in life. So, would love to hear your comments. Like I said, this whole document, all these links are going to be in the description. And you can comment. I'm going to make it commentable, so anybody could comment on anything. Troll away. I don't give a hoot. You can troll the crap out of any of these things. But I'd much rather for you to provide feedback of like, oh, this was helpful or this was not helpful, or this, I have a similar idea, blah, blah, because I could potentially learn from your comments and other people could learn from your comments because they'll see it. So let's make this like a working holistic health exercise calendar that not only I'm using, but other people can use. That's pretty much it. Hope that this is helpful. Peace.